we got 110,000 followers in 36 hours. We went out and we spent £1,000 on tickets. Bought like tickets to Mint Festival, tickets to here, tickets to there. And when we've dropped the post, when I tell you it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and every single time I just refreshed, we was gaining 500 followers, literally every 10 seconds. Got a good friend called Latman, who obviously a big DJ. He's from Nottingham as well. Was friendly with Ben Sterling as well, who's another phenomenal DJ. We got a license to do COVID lockdown raves, and everyone's in sort of fence pens. It sold out in about 5 minutes. Nothing would ever beat that day for me. We had Rossi and we had Seb Zito as well. All of a sudden, there's a big white van is speeding at 40 miles an hour and snaps the generator, the cable in half. I think the geezer was drunk, mate. There was 200 people in there, and I just had a text off Rossi's tour manager. Hey, Reece, hope you're right. Just to let you know, we're going to be there in about 10 minutes. We've got no way to put the sound on. And I tell you, when that music came back on, yeah, and it is sorted, it was the most rejoicing feeling ever. Like, the first track came back on, everyone's been stood there, and it was like, boom, we're back in action.
So today we have got Reece from Taste.
Yes,
What's your name, Reece? I don't actually know. What...
Do you know what, mate? It's a bit of a tale in that. So everyone thinks my name's Reece Taste, and we'll keep it like that, bro, because it's a bit of a myth, mate, to be honest with you.
Secret. So we know you. You do events in Nottingham, don't you?
Yes, mate.
Quite successful, it may seem.
Yeah, probably the biggest events in Nottingham, you'd say, wouldn't you?
I'd say so, yeah. I'd say we're definitely leading the charge in the Midlands, especially in the East Midlands. Obviously, we've got our friends over at Wild as well in Birmingham, obviously leading the charge in the West Midlands. I think between the two brands over the past sort of 5 years, I think we've, do you know what I mean, sort of really sort of cultivated a crowd and got it moving. So, yeah, man. Yeah,
so you've had some big bookings. Like, run us through some of your biggest bookings.
Yeah, man. So we've had Reece Tasté, we've had East End Dubs, we've had Rossi a few times, Max Dean. So, and some big ones to come. 2025, do you know what I mean? We've got the biggest year yet for Taste. So I'm looking forward to sharing some more information on that.
Yeah,
so the podcast.
So obviously you're here because we want to get to know you a bit more, don't we? I think with these brands, sometimes it's hard to put like a face to the brand. And obviously you can answer a lot of questions about it. Like, we've obviously seen you on Instagram for the past couple of years. But like, how did Taste start? Where did it all come from? What got you into it?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one, to be fair. So obviously when I was younger, I was always sort of one of them people. I always knew I was going to get into some sort of business. And like when I was like 13, 14, like me and one of my pals were making sort of T-shirts at school, selling them, selling the sweets and chocolate at school and things like that. I'd actually got into apprenticeship after I finished school, so didn't get many GCSEs, sort of dived straight into that.
What was that in?
In my apprenticeship in retail management. So before all this, I was a retail store manager. I did that for 7 years. Really enjoyed my time there, to be honest with you. But it weren't really my calling. Obviously, I always wanted to own my own business and stuff like that. So I had a pal, obviously, this pal that I went to school with. Obviously, we was making T-shirts. We was doing all the daft things, do you know what I mean, to make an extra few quid. But he started DJing at the time. He was an R&B DJ. And he got offered a club residency throughout the summer. So it was a little bit naive at the time. We didn't really know how the market worked. So for people that don't know, Nottingham is very, very student-driven city. And there's 70,000 students across the two universities that are there between sort of September and May every year. And without that, if you've ever been to Nottingham in the summertime, the town centre just feels dead, do you know what I mean? So we took this residency on. It was a 12-week residency. And Taste just came from... Do you know what? I think we was just eating some food one day, and we was like, yeah, that's quite tasty, that is. And then we came up with Taste, and we just put we've got a kind of, the comma kind of thing on top of the E.
It's like, what, it's like an accent or something?
Yeah, man, what you mean. Just to switch it up. To be honest with you, I don't even know what the E with the accent means, to be honest, but it's just always kind of stuck, just to make it a little bit different and things like that. So we slapped a quick logo together. We'd both just come back from IB for that summer. Just kind of got inspired, do you know what I mean? But we thought, let's start Taste with the R&B. Sort of the club chart music and things like that. So put a bit of artwork together, got a few local lads on it, and the opening night came around, and I think about 4 people turned up, to be honest. But we didn't get down by that. Do you know what I mean? We was like, look, we've got to start somewhere, so let's keep it moving. And to cut a long story short, over them 12 weeks, I think the most people we got in on one night was 12 people. Throughout the whole night, we ran from 10 till 3, 12 people.
Were these ticketed events then, or?
Ticketed events, yeah, sort of £2 tickets we was doing. So I'd say over the summer we probably made about £32 in total, you know.
Balling.
But at the time, it was quite funny, really, because I was running the events while sort of working my full-time job because we just started. So I used to work shift work. I used to work at 5 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So I'd sort of I'd run the party, finish at 3 in the morning, and it'd be leaving the party at 3, getting in my car, putting my work uniform on, and then we'd be driving straight to work, and then doing a 5 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So it would be a long graft, mate, and that's the kind of thing that people don't see, you know, is like people look at what we're doing now and think it was sort of a God-given right that we got given it. But it was them times, mate, that sort of built the brand. But yeah, it kind of just came out of nowhere, to be honest. And
that's the thing. Like, someone might stumble upon Taste, see you've got all these followers, you're doing all these bookings, you've got these big, massive DJs, and I think a lot of people will think, oh, they've not had the hardship, they've not had the empty
just like
events.
falling on
But that's where it's obviously started from, and the fact that you've gone through that to get to where you are now probably makes it a lot more worthwhile as well, and you appreciate it a lot more.
For sure, mate, for sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the one thing that we do, and this can sort of be a lesson to anyone in life who runs a business, is when you start a business, you have goals. But as you go along and you're reaching them goals, by the time you've reached that goal, your expectations are already higher. So I think the one thing that we've not done over the past 5 years is we've never just taken a back step and just thought, wow, do you know what I mean? Like, I think we booked Reece Tasté 3 years ago to look at sort of the way his career's gone now. He's arguably probably the biggest DJ in the world. And you're kind of a part in that journey, do you know what I mean? And it's just memories you'll never forget, man. Do you know what I mean? So
was there a turning point in Taste where it just sort of kicked up a level and it was like the breakthrough moment where you're all going, this can work now, like this can really work?
Do you know our breakthrough moment was everyone's worst nightmare, really, because it came in the lockdown. So what kind of happened to us, and everyone always says to me, oh, you must have bought all them followers and this and that, and it's a crazy story, really, on how it happened. So me and my business partner, Eddie, we was like, let's put a bit of a competition together. Do you know what I mean? Like, we went out and we spent £1,000 on tickets. Yeah, we bought like tickets to Mint Festival, tickets to here, tickets to there, and was like, let's slap it all on a post and we'll put it out. And people are feeling a bit down. Let's put something out. It was like, right, let's release it on this date, you know. And it was the weirdest thing ever because it was like, let's drop it at 6 o'clock. And on that same night, Boris Johnson announced that he was going to be easing the lockdown restrictions and that festivals and events would be able to go ahead. But I didn't watch the news that night, yeah, so I've sort of just dropped this post. And when we've dropped the post, when I tell you it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life, in the first sort of, we dropped it at 6, and then from then, so say it was on about 3,000 followers before. Midnight that night, went to bed, was on about 8,000. So in the first few hours, we gained 5,000 followers off this.
What was the post? Literally just followers and like it and drop a comment to win these tickets?
Literally, mate. It was like this post, tag 2 friends and share it to your story.
Yeah.
So I'll lead on to how many comments it actually got. But anyway, we dropped it. That night, I got a few thousand, thought nothing on it. I went to work the next day when I was working my job. And I was like, mate, something's happening here. Do you know what I mean? So I went on my phone, and every single time I just refreshed the app on Instagram, we was gaining 500 followers literally every 10 seconds. And this was going on for hours on end. And we ended up maxing out. We got 110,000 followers in 36 hours. So we went from 3,000 followers to 110,000. I think it got 350,000 comments on it, Jesus. 250,000 likes.
Full on blown up, ain't it, that?
And, mate, it just blew up, you know, and it was like...
nuts.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere, mate. And I remember it clear as day, mate, because I was at my mum and dad's at the time, and I was just like, it was locked down, it was in my bedroom, and was like, how are we actually going to announce this competition now, yeah, with 350,000 comments on it? And like, mate, we was having, when I say thousands of messages, mate, every minute, like, please let me win this competition. Like, I'm going through the toughest time ever. And like, there was that many where you couldn't even comprehend to even open every single message. But we've jumped on like, on a live, and I'm like I think at the time I was like, like 20, 21 years old, like just proper naive to it all, never sort of seen anything like it before. We announced the competition, and as part of the competition, it was like, you have to follow these 3 steps. And the person who won it was so funny, yeah, because apparently they was only 17 years old.
Oh,
so
my
we'd gone
God.
through all of this riff-raff of jumping on a live. Mate, there was 50,000 people on the Instagram live. Do you know what I mean?
Watching it
this.
live. That's nuts.
We've put it in an Instagram comment generator, done it out, and it turns out the person was 17 years old who won the competition. Mate, this girl, I'm pretty sure, was getting hate messages, things like that, really just out of order things off people. Do you know what I mean? And her parents actually messaged us. Do you know what I mean? And said to us like, what's going on? Like, my daughter's getting loads of messages. She's won this blah blah blah. And at that point, mate, my heart just sunk, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're never expecting it to get that big, are you? And now you've got all these issues coming from it. Like,
you know, mate, I was getting death threats on the Instagram account. I was getting people threatening us and things like that. And I was just sat there, mate, just in my mum and dad's bedroom, just sat on a little table, mate, on an Instagram live, and was just so naive to it all, you know, and I couldn't really believe what happened. But from that, like, the turning point from that and where we changed gears, we've got a good friend called Lapman, who obviously a big DJ. He's from Nottingham as well. We kind of got together with him and was friendly with Ben Sterling as well, who's another phenomenal DJ. And we was like, right, we'd found an outdoor space, and we was like, right, let's hit the council up. Let's try and put something together. Didn't expect anything of it at all. And what sort of happened from that point there is we got sort of a license to do sort of these sort of COVID lockdown raves. And everyone's probably seen the videos, and because it literally went viral again. So we'd already had one viral moment in sort of the Instagram. Yeah. And then a few weeks later, we put this event on. Everyone's in sort of pens of 6 and stuff like that. We had this massive stage, massive function one sound system.
But the council all right with it all then? It was
proper council regulations, health and safety and everything like that. Worked alongside them, you know, and we put this on. And because we'd garnered such a large following at the time, obviously after the competition, loads of people unfollowed us. I think we lost, literally, we gained 110,000. The next day we lost 50,000 again straight away. Because people were probably just fuming that they didn't win these tickets and that, you know. But we put this event out. So before that, we was doing a few events and that. We were selling 100 tickets, 150 tickets, you know. On a temporary event notice that you get off the council, you can only run up to 499 people. So we got a site big enough to do this and put all the people in. Mate, it sold out in about 5 minutes. So we'd literally gone from a week before that. We'd been there with 3,000 followers. We was doing a few hundred capacity parties. The brand was slightly growing. So a week later, we'd gained 110,000 followers, lost 50,000 followers, and just sold out 500 tickets in 5 minutes. So it was like night and day, you know, and it was, we couldn't really comprehend what was going on.
And you think that's because of the followers you had from the post that all bought tickets for the event?
Yeah, I don't think it was just that. I think we was the first people to put an event on. So like,
I remember seeing it
just after lockdown,
and everyone's seen it, you know, and that's why the brand name is like is quite well known now, I believe, because everyone's sort of seen what we did then, and off the back of that, you can only imagine that everyone had been sort of locked away for quite a while. You could only imagine sort of the atmosphere at the event.
It was this one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, like news outlets picking up on it then, that it was like the first event.
Do you never remember seeing this? Wait for the camera to turn, and they're all like that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of years ago. No, it's a bit more.
Lockdown.
Yeah.
Like 2021,
yeah, I do remember.
2020, 2021 that was. Not really, no news outlets really picked up on it. Do you know what I mean? It weren't really like that, but it just kind of went mad, mate, to be honest with you. And from that, like, because everyone had been locked away for so long, it was sort of the atmosphere. Like, for me, I've probably thrown, do you know what I mean, 30, 40 parties under the taste band over the past sort of 5 years, and nothing would ever beat that day for me. It was all socially distanced, was abiding by, obviously, guidelines and restrictions, but just the sheer atmosphere and the passion from everyone, mate. Everyone singing to every tune, dancing. Yeah. Mate, it was something I was proud of doing, you know, and being the first people to put a party on in 2 years in the whole country at the time, it was something special, man, you know. it was proper sick time. So yeah,
It's like fully
Big
set you
two.
apart.
big turning point, mate. Do you know what I mean? And that's from there where we just had the sort of energy and it gave us the direction to go, well, this is our calling now. Do you know what I mean? And this is the direction we want to go 100% down. So yeah, big turning point for us, massively.
I think as soon as you know you have that one moment, it's like it's enough to keep you going and going and going. I bet you were getting maybe not completely disheartened, but it's sort of like before that, were they sort of going? Oh, did you ever have the times where you're like, do we carry this on? Are we going to keep doing
Not
this?
selling out enough tickets and
Yeah, mate, definitely. And look, it's a problem that I'm seeing arise a lot now. And obviously, people tuning into this, I'd imagine there'll be a lot of promoters that are watching this. Do you know what I mean? Who are probably younger than us, who are starting their journey. And the ticket sale thing is a big thing in the industry at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially now more than ever. I even see it with I run different brands and different events with other businesses that I run, you know. And the last minute ticket purchasing is something that's really harming people. And it's probably the reason why loads of clubs are closing down as well, is people think they're going to go to an event, but they don't buy till on the day. Well, us as promoters, we might have that event might have cost us £10,000 to put on. We can't take the risk that we think people might buy on the final day, you know, because
we
we're going
often
to lose
find
thousands.
ourselves like that, don't we? Like waiting for the final day surgence of tickets to come because it's just like it's a little bit on the edge.
Yeah, it is rough, and sometimes it is just like that's how the cookie crumbles. But we said this with Reece EV Pro at the weekend. We were saying like, what is like the why do they do it? Why do people do it? Is it laziness? Is it this, that, and the other? Like, why do people
Not having the money to go out, afford drinks and things of that nature, or is it just a bit of a pastime clubbing now and people want to go to these private events sort of thing?
Do you know what, lads? Where I think the sort of the industry and the nightclubs, this stuff's going now, you're seeing like these big sort of groups like Prism closing down and stuff like that. When I was a bit younger, mate, I was out Friday, Saturday, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was clubbing every weekend.
Well, we were, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think our sort of generation was, you know, I'm like sort of 26 now, so like I think we're probably going back like 8 years, you know, out Friday, Saturday, and like me and my pal, when we used to go out, like we used to live like an hour walk away from the town centre, so we'd walk into the town centre,
Yeah.
You'd have like sort of a bottle of potion, mate, that you've mixed up at your arse with loads of different booze in that.
Yeah.
You're walking down, it would be a £5 to get into the club. It'll be a £5 for a bottle of water because you're already battered from them drinks you've had on the way down.
Yeah.
You'd finish at 5 in the morning in the summertime, the sun's out, and you'd walk home, get in at 6, mate, and it would be rinse and repeat, you know. And like we used to do that every single weekend, but now I think the way it's going, it's like people are only bothered about going to these big raves. And obviously when we were younger and we were going out, TikTok weren't even a thing then, you know.
Yeah.
People weren't on TikTok or anything like that. And Instagram wasn't really a platform like what TikTok is, you know. So I think now the youngers that are coming through, they're probably just jumping on TikTok. They're probably seeing a DJ, maybe a viral track that someone's dancing to or something like that, or a certain rave that looks good. And that's where people are going to. They're not going to the nightclubs, mate.
All they care about is the next biggest thing, and because they have got access to absolutely everything at the end of their hands on TikTok. Everyone wants the same thing. Everyone's like, oh, everyone's going to this rave. I want to be there. And no matter how much, that's why they can charge such a ridiculous amount, because the need for it is there, because everyone wants this next big thing. Like for us, maybe when we was 18, you maybe book one holiday, you might do a hideout, and you might go to a warehouse project. And now it's like, well, I've got January, so I've got to save up for Circo Loco in Thailand, and then I've got this, and then I've got that, and then I've got this, and then I've got that.
Everyone's got fear of missing out.
Everything's so expensive. And it might even come to your big club night, like for example, you're Chris Dussy, maybe not Chris Dussy, but someone a bit smaller. Well, I haven't even got the money for that now, because there's just so many things on, but everyone knows what's happening.
Yeah.
There's half of these things back in the day we wouldn't have even known about these festivals.
Exactly, bro. It's crazy, isn't it? And I must say to if anyone who is young watching this, like 18 or anything like that, you need to go on one of them mad holidays. Don't go to Ibiza for your first holiday with your mates.
Kavos.
Do you know what I mean? Mate, honest to God, yeah, I went on my first holiday with my pals to Hideout Festival, funny enough, in Croatia. And to this day, it was the best holiday I've ever been on with my pals. Do you know what I mean? Because like, it's your first sort of sense of freedom away from your parents. You're letting loose. You just feel sick. Do you know what I mean? And I'm seeing now, like in Ibiza, I've done a season in Ibiza. You know, I've lived out of there. I'm progressively seeing now just how young the crowd is. Just go Magaluf, mate, and have a mad one. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you need to get your training wheels off first.
Mate.
We did Cavos and literally walked in the gaff, turned the tap on, water came out green, sets a standard for the week.
It's the in-betweeners vibes, do you know what I mean?
You need to get it out of your system, but everyone's just... Again, it's because you've got access to everything at the end of your hands on TikTok. You want to be like, oh, this lad's wearing his man bag and his sunglasses and he's at this rave. Oh, I don't want to be in Zante like this. I want to be you just want to be that top boy when actually you're just chasing it and being a bit of a knobhead. Really,
it's all part of growing up, isn't it? Like, at the end, I remember, mate, like when I was younger, I always used to like, mate, I would like go in my overdraft to buy some designer to go out on the weekend.
Yeah.
And mate, when you think to yourself, like, you would actually go into your overdraft just to get like a new T-shirt to try and look cool, or you'd literally like you'd scrimp and scrape, mate, to go to that one holiday where everyone's going.
You're just not thinking of the big picture when you're a bit younger, though, are you? Really?
And it's not. And do you know what? I look back on that now, and I look, and I don't speak to one person I went to school with, for example. I don't.
It's few and far between, isn't it?
I'll be honest, mate. I have got one friend, literally, like who's outside of the industry that I work in. I've got my best mate, who I've been mates with for 20 odd years, and he's been with me through everything, you know. But apart from that, I couldn't tell you another friend, mate, that I hang out with. Do you know what I mean? That's not in the industry. So you think like you do all of that to try and impress people, and to try and look like do you know what I mean? Like the top dog. And as you get older, mate, you don't even remember these people's names. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
I think a lot of people never go out of it, but then I think some people don't really know how to. And I think when you're younger, it's very much like consume all this media that you can and try your best to impress other people, when in actual fact you're doing the opposite. And if you put a bit more time into yourself and just improving yourself, that's how you then start impressing others. But you need to do it by focusing on yourself first, which is like doing the events. You're not wasting all your money spunking it up the wall on events to dress designer clothes. You're thinking, how can I, instead of consume, you're creating.
Well, that's why I like doing our events and stuff, because I still love going out and I still love the music scene and everything. But now the dynamic shifted a little bit as to where we're putting the events on, and we still get to enjoy an event, yet we have the business side of it as well.
Exactly. You're making money and you're growing off it. And the thing for me about running my own parties as well, like more than anything, like I get such satisfaction of like just standing there behind the DJ booth and seeing everyone dancing, smiling.
We do, don't we?
It's just nice.
It feels amazing. And the way I sort of think of it is like, you've probably got people that are sat there on a Monday, say your event's on a Friday, they're in the group chats on WhatsApp, oh mate, can't wait to go taste, or can't wait to go to Summit on Friday, like what you wearing, like, and your whole week's driven by that. Do you know what I mean? They'll probably finish work on a Friday, they're in the car, mate, they've got the tunes on, like they're gas, mate, they're going out for a big night out, do you know what I mean? And
you put the work in to do it, like
that's it, mate. It's very rewarding, you know. Like a lot of people don't really think you would look at it like that, but
this is what we said. The
I
payoff,
love it, mate.
You get back and everyone's meshing like, that was such a good
Such a
night.
cool
When's the next
event,
one? When's the next one happening? That was so sick. And it's really, even at the night, everyone's coming, like, mate, this is ace. This is one of the best nights I've had. And you're buzzing off
the
of it.
buzz off it is just crazy, isn't it? Like the endorphins. You mentioned you've done 40.
I think so,
Since the lockdown party.
Probably, I would say over the time, we've probably done about 40 events. Obviously, there's loads that we probably wouldn't even mention, because out of them 40, like, there was loads that didn't go very well as well, you know? And, like, I never lie, and I'm not naive to that. Our journey's been very difficult. Yeah. And like, we've had so many times, we've lost thousands of pounds, but we've made thousands of pounds, you know? And
Could you take us through, like, the process before... let's say before your lockdown party, to how it changed afterwards, and maybe a few moments that you remember and a few moments that bit squeaky bum time sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, before the lockdown, I must say, we wasn't really even taking it that seriously. It was more, we were sort of 20...
let's have a good time.
20-year-old fellas, you know. Let's be party starters. Do you know what I mean? Let's look cool. I hate to say, that probably was sort of the motive behind it to begin with. You know, I'm always someone who's I like to be liked. I don't really, do you know what I mean, like people to not like me. And I like to think I'm a very polite person. Do you know what I mean? I treat people with a lot of respect. And I just would like that to be reciprocated. So I think that's part of the reason why we got into it, really. And yeah, so just doing them events, it was like, it was just clueless. It was just like, me and my business, it was like the blind leading the blind, mate. Do you know what I mean? Because we didn't have a clue what we was doing. And I remember there was some nights where, I think there was one night, it was the first birthday event that we ever did. And on the night of the event, I think we'd spent sort of £2,000 on the event. Now, to put into perspective, we're spending 15 to 17 grand on a show now. That's sort of how far up we've gone in terms of everything that we do.
In 5 years.
But at 20 years old and just starting out and investing money that you're working hard in your full-time job to do it, and you're doing it as a passion, you know. And I think on the night we'd sold 30 tickets. It was like, we was staring down the barrel of about an £1,800 loss, which was detrimental at the time because we wouldn't have come back from it. There was no more money to invest into the brand, you know, at that point. And sort of the come around from that was, the time the last entry was, let's say at 9 a.m, yeah, we'd sold 40 tickets. By the midnight, we'd sold 250 tickets. And I was there thinking, like, I was panicking all day. I couldn't eat, like, me mum, my dad were like, are you all right? Like, you look pale, mate. Do you know what I mean? There's something not right with you.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't really believe it, you know. And when you step back, because at that point we'd not really experienced a big crowd, and when the floods of people started to come in, I was just there like...
Roller coaster of emotions.
I couldn't believe it, mate. I was so drained from sort of like just being so like, do you know what I mean, anxious all day. And the emotions, it was crazy, mate. Do you know what I mean?
We had our best one was last year at probably the Danby event. It's not the most we've done, but it was a sellout at a smaller venue.
It was just a great
and it was about 450 we did, and the morning of I got a call saying the security firm have cancelled.
Got to pull the event.
I went, what do you mean? You can't.
Yeah.
The event's in 4 hours. There is no security's cancelled.
Yeah, man.
There's no pull in the event.
Pull them in from Hull, and like the anxiety all day of that. Even though it was like the sickest event, when I was there, I was just so tired, mate, because I was so stressed in the morning at the thought of letting down 450 people, sold out event, sick DJ, and luckily it pulled through. But sometimes like the drain of the anxiety of situations like that can almost ruin it for you. But it was
for sure, bro.
Yeah, and that's what people don't get. Like, people don't see these. They just see, oh, it's all work and the music's playing, the DJ's on. They have no idea.
Yeah, let's
like,
go and
all
grab a
these,
drink.
Like we said it in the last one. We had an event on the terrace, and it was on the day. It was like, right, the weather's now decided it's going to chuck it down. So we had to put tarpaulins across the top. Wind's almost taking it off. Torrential rain hit. Big dip in the middle. We've had to stab it.
Pooling in the middle.
Pooling in the middle. Had to stab it, and it drenched this girl. Like, people don't see all these sort of things that go on.
Do you know what? That reminds me of a joke story, you know, from one thing we did. So when we did the lockdown parties, so we'd use that location first, and then for the next one we switched to a different location. And this party was in like, it was in an auction car park in a cattle market.
Seen East End Dubs there before, that cattle market.
Yeah. So we've that was a different brand that did that, but we had Rossi at the time when Rossi was coming up, and we had Seb Zito as well. And we spent the best part of £5,000 just on actually putting it together, because you think it's a blank canvas, yeah? You're in a car park. So anyway, before that was like, make sure all vehicles are out of this, because there was 2 entrances, yeah? It was like, make sure all the vehicles are out of this, because like, this is going to cause chaos. Because we had to get a generator in for the sound system, and there was a big wire, yeah, that looped from the generator to plug into the sound system. So the event has started, do you know what I mean? The crowd started to fill up a bit. Obviously, we had the warm-up DJs on, just doing their thing. All of a sudden, mate, yeah, there's a big white van that just is speeding at 40 miles an hour and comes on the back road where the cable is of the generator and snaps the generator, the cable in half.
Fuck's sake.
Well, he's just not seen it.
But I think the geezer was drunk, mate. Because he was, do you know what I mean? He was a bit all over the place, mate. And at that point, there was 200 people in there. We had another 300 people to come. And I just had a text off Rossi's tour manager, yeah. Hey, Reece, hope you're all right. Just to let you know, we're going to be there in about 10 minutes. And I'm like, right. So we've got no way to put the sound on. Do you know what I mean? I've got Rossi turning up in 10 minutes. I've got 200 people. There's no music on.
Doors have opened at this point and you've had music
Yeah,
playing.
mate, doors
then.
been open 2 hours, mate. Doors been open. I think this guy fell asleep, yeah. Like, mate, we was chasing this guy in the van, yeah, like, what have you done? Do you know what I mean? He was speeding off. He kept stalling, so I actually think he was intoxicated or something like that. Called the sound tech up. I was like, mate, you need to get here now. Serious problems, you know. Rossi and Seb Zito turned up and, like, there was no music on. There was a geezer in the crowd, mate, yeah, who literally just got his phone out and was just playing some SoundCloud edit, mate, on his phone or something like that. And I'm thinking, lad, no one can hear that. There's like 200 people in this big space. And he's just sort of jamming to himself. And me and Eddie, mate, we're stressed because we've spent so much on this event, you know, and we've put so much into it. And it was gone, mate. Like, the cable
through the wire. That's
completely driven, mate. It was snapping off. That was it. Luckily, the sound engineer, I don't know how, he was literally about 20 minutes away. He's come down, sorted it out, and I tell you, when that music came back on, yeah, and it is sorted, it was the most rejoicing feeling ever. Like, the first track came back on, everyone's been stood there, and it was like, boom, we're back in action, and it's them sort of problems that you deal with. It's every event you have a problem. Maybe not to that scale, but you have something that sort of puts a spanner in the works of your night. And I think being a business owner, like, the most important thing is a business owner, like, you're a problem solver, you know? That's all that you are. You're no special to anyone else, but you're just a problem solver. You solve a problem and you move on to the next one. And, you know, that's how I look at it. But it's just when you said that there, just reminded me of that funny story, man, because they were the times, like, where you're coming up and you're trying to do everything in your powers.
Everything's getting thrown back at you. That's what it feels like. It feels like anything that could go wrong is going to go wrong.
Yeah, mate, it was mental.
It's not for the faint-hearted, is it? Like, I think to myself, we try and cover every single base, like lighting down to the sound, down to the production, down to the filming and everything. And always you think to yourself, well, you're going to get there and everything's going to go right for once.
Plug the cable in and the decks don't record.
Yeah, or there's just one tiny little thing that just throws it off and it's annoying.
Yeah. So, IB for then. Have you done events out there?
Do you know what? Yeah, we did one event. So it was like it was the summer after lockdown where we did an event out there, and I had a mate of mine. He's, you know what I mean, very talented DJ and producer called Code Work. I built quite a good relationship with him. He was like, "Look, I've got this link out here at Ithaca. It was Ithaca's bar in IB for just down next to IB for Rocks bar, and sort of that San Antonio strip line where, do you know what I mean, round from Ocean Beach and what have you." And he was like, "Mate, they'll come do it out here, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Do you know what, yeah, mate, let's rock and roll. Like, I'm up for it." My business partner, he was away on a family holiday, so I was like, I'll go by myself. I was like, I'll take a couple of the lads with me with the DJs and stuff like that, and we'll be rolling. So anyway, I've gone with one of my pals, yeah, who was one of the DJs at the time. He was like, "Right, drive to mine." He lives in Leeds, right, and I live in, so it was a 2-hour drive, drove to his house. And he was with two geezers that I've never met before. And I was like, right, that's cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll do that. Got on the flight, blah, blah, blah. And the other two lads who I was meant to be staying in a room with, they'd booked the room. It was in their name and everything like that, and etc. Their flight got cancelled. So I've got to Ibiza. I've not got a hotel or anything like that, and I've got my party on tomorrow. And I'm thinking, right then, I've had to end up staying in a hotel room, sharing a bed with this geezer I don't even know, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Fuck's sake.
But anyway, we got there on the Wednesday night, yeah, and mate, I love Paradise, man, at Amnesia. It's favourite spot in IB for me. On a Wednesday night there, it was banging. So I'm there. I've gone with the lad that I know and his two pals, you know. And the lad that I know, it was about an hour or two into the night, and he was like, "Oh, I don't feel very well, I'm going home." I was thinking, mate, like, I've just got here, like, I'm not leaving. Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing that.
Fresh, innit?
Do you know what I mean? Let's rock and roll. So I've ended up staying. So one of his pals has gone home with him, yeah, and I've stayed with another lad. I don't even think I knew his name at this point. I was sharing a bed with him, yeah. I was rocking around with him and whatever. Anyway, we stayed the whole night, mate. I had a belt a night, you know. Bearing in mind we've got the party the next day, yeah. Just keeping that in the back of your mind. We've gone outside, and if you've been to Amnesia before, if you stay till the end, you know that taxi queue, mate, you're talking a good hour or so if you're queuing up. And we was like, do you know what? Let's walk back to Playa d'Embossa.
That's at the bottom, isn't it?
A 3-hour walk, yeah? So this is 6 a.m. I've started walking, and I know this other geezer's disappeared, mate. Like, I'm tunnel vision, mate, yeah? Walking, and he's disappeared. I go, right, let me get the maps from my phone, because I didn't know where the hotel was. I didn't even know what the hotel was called. So I couldn't even flag a taxi down and tell him where to take me, yeah? So, mate, honestly, I've ended up getting in a taxi because I'm lost, and I just said, take me to Playa d'Embossa. So, say we left the club at 6, it's probably 9 a.m. at this point. The party, mate, is in a few hours, you know? I've walked around Playa d'Embossa for 2.5 hours trying to find the hotel. I don't know what it's called. I just vaguely remember it was down a cul-de-sac and what it looked like. It had a blue sign on it. I'm walking around, yeah. There was a ward, because I was absolutely sweating because it was so hot. There was like a kid's playground, yeah, with a big water fountain in. I've gone in fully clothed. I've jumped in that. My phone's dead. My phone broke then at that point. So I battered my phone. And I'm thinking, right, I've strolled in at about 11 in the morning, yeah. And I'm thinking, right, I've got a party in a few hours. Kept going through, mate. Got on the drink again. Kept partying through it. And then my pal was DJing, Codework was DJing at IB for Rocks. Now, in the green room at IB for Rocks behind the back, they've got beds in there. I've fallen asleep for 4 hours in IB for Rocks. They've all left me, and I'm locked inside the IB for Rocks green in the dressing rooms. And the event's starting in an hour or two. Yeah, and I couldn't get out. I've had to climb out the window. I fell straight into the pool, yeah. Again, my phone's broke anyway, but at this point, all my cash in my wallet now is absolutely soaked. And I've walked down to Ithaca, drenched, mate, yeah, and put the party on. And no one even turned up to the party, mate. So we've gone through all of that riffraff to put a party on, spent all that money and no one turned up.
Fuck's sake.
So we decided that was it, mate. We wouldn't do it again until we'd built the brand, you know.
How are you planning on pushing it over there, obviously, from doing events in the UK mainly?
Again, mate, we were so naive. I was 21, 22 years old at the time, and I just thought, this is going to work. You know, we're in Ibiza, party island of the world. People are going to come in. So naive, mate, you know. And the whole story, mate, of getting lost and this and that. And then I sat there after, and I thought, I've probably spent the best part of €800, because you know what it's like out there.
Yeah.
I've been out there for 2 days. I'm sleeping in bed with a guy that I don't know. I've got lost. I've broke my phone. All my money's wet. I've got locked in the IB for Rocks dressing room. I'm like, mate.
It's over.
Honestly, you could not tell that story, mate, and someone would believe you. It's just one of them things where you just had to be there, mate. And unfortunately for me, no one was there to witness it. Do you know what I mean? But
just on your once.
It was mental, mate.
So a big thing, you've now started doing management, haven't you? Artist management.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So on side of this, obviously, I've got my taste artists who sort of play for all the bits for us and do what they do with us as well. I've got Jesse, Eddie, and Louis. They're like the three main guys. They've been with me from Taste from the early days, you know. And we've always banded together and built the brand really around us four.
One quick thing, how do you know Jesse? Because we know Jesse from round here.
Do you know what with Jesse, man? And this is
He's a Newark boy, isn't he?
He is, mate. Yeah, he is. And this is one thing. I get kids messaging me all the time, yeah, or messaging the Taste page. Hi, I'm an upcoming DJ. Let me play at your event. I'm like, mate, like, who do you think you are, mate? Do you know what I mean?
It's not how it works.
We get you as well.
Do you know what I mean? The thing with Jesse, he was a raver, mate, coming to all the parties. So he was paying to buy a ticket. He was coming and he was sort of meeting up with us. He was speaking to us at the events. And sort of through that, do you know what I mean? He's one of my best mates now. Do you know what I mean? He's a bit younger than me. He's like my little brother. Do you know what I mean? But I love the kid to bits, mate. And I've met the lifelong best friends, mate, that I could ever wish for through doing this. And that's one of the biggest things I take away from it. You lose all them school friends and all them friends you grew up with, and then coming into this, mate, I've just gained such great relationships.
That's sick then. So with the management, how did that start and how is it going and what's the plans with it? How do you plan on taking it?
Yeah, so with the management, really, like we're not really planning to take it to a new height. Obviously, alongside that, I'm a booking agent for Onyx Bookings as well. So obviously, I sort of co-manage Mike Morrissey, Luke Welsh, Dan Costello, Tom Nolan, Baglione, Groove Elements, Ollie BC. So we've got some wicked artists there. And sort of through what we've done with Taste, I've sort of jumped on with the Libero boys, you know, and working alongside them. Great guys. Obviously, they're doing what they're doing in Manchester. Very well plugged in guys, very well switched on guys. So for me, like, my booking agent sort of career is with them. But I would always want to look after my DJs and obviously make sure they're getting paid correctly, and they're just being looked after, you know. Like, that's really important to me. So
Yeah.
that's the sort of plans with that, you know.
So at the minute, a big thing, which we haven't even been doing it that long, but we're even noticing now, booking agents, it's slowly ticking up and up and up, and it's having an effect on the industry, would you say? Obviously, you yourself know how it works because you've been doing the events for so long, and now you're dipping your toes in there, and, well, not even dipping your toes, doing it fully now, aren't you?
Yeah.
How do you think that is affecting the scene, and how do you see it going?
Yeah, I think the thing with me, I've got a sort of perspective from both sides. So I am a booking agent and I am a booker as well because I put my own parties on. I think that the problem with the way that's going now is the fees are going up too quickly, you know, for artists. Obviously, these artists, what they do, the demand's there, but I don't even really blame the agents really for this. The demand through TikTok, like we touched on earlier, to go to these events. If the events are selling out and stuff like that, well, obviously business is supply and demand. So the fees are naturally going to rise. I think another big problem as well is a lot of the younger people that are coming through now that well, obviously when I started out, like, running an event brand wasn't a popular thing to do. Like, I was sort of the only person in Nottingham doing it when we started, you know. And now it's almost like it's the popular thing to do, you know. Everyone wants to have a crack at it.
Yeah.
And agents click onto that and they know that, you know, and they've got to keep the artists exclusive, you know, to the bigger parties. So it's like if they want to go and play for a brand that no one's heard of, well, they're going to need to demand a high fee because you think that artist is potentially turning down a big gig, you know, to do that if that booking comes in first.
Which could boost their career a lot more.
Exactly, mate. So I see both sides to it, you know.
Yeah, it's like a fine line, isn't it, in that sort of sense? But I feel like it's when the artists are playing for lesser known brands, it's quite often the lesser known brands that don't really have the funds because they're more of a startup to feed these artists and booking agents.
You see, bro, and this is my one bit of advice, yeah, to anyone. Do not do an event and book loads of headliners to start with. Like, the best way to start is, yeah, go and get a venue, I'd say 150 capacity, yeah. Get a group of locals on that can all bring a few friends and pass the word around and start running parties that way. It is the best way to do it because you're not fronting up thousands of pounds. You've got no risk to it. And by doing that, you're building a core crowd. If people are enjoying the atmosphere of the event and they're coming through and they're coming along to it, they're going to keep coming. The thing that I'm so proud of what we've built now is I believe anyway that people come to Taste for Taste. They come for the vibe, they come for the production, they come for the music, they come for the array of DJs we put on. It's not solely based on what headliner have we booked in this time. Obviously, we book the biggest headliners we can because that's what we want to do with our business. Like, we book people that we love listening to. Like, you're doing these parties for everyone, but you're the one putting all the work and money in. You're booking acts that you want to listen to, that you want to enjoy, you know, that you want to connect with.
So at the minute then, who is your favourite artist? Who is your favourite DJ? Who, I imagine I could say, who is your dream booking? You probably already booked them, but say someone who you haven't booked, who you're thinking, I would love to get them on one of the upcoming shows.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? My favourite ever DJ is Joseph Capriati for me, and that'd be a dream booking. I think the versatility that he has in terms of his sets, I've seen him multiple times. And you're getting sort of a different side to him every time you see him, you know. It's not the same set every time. He sort of works his way through the genres, do you know what I mean, of what he plays. And that would be a big dream booking for me. But in terms of sort of like at the moment, sort of who I'm looking out on and who I'm really enjoying, I must say Luke Van Dijk's up there for me. And not just down to his music. I love the way he sort of puts all his sort of promotion together. Like, he's such a funny guy, man. Like, and he's so tapped into the socials and sort of the content he creates around his upcoming releases and his shows. I just think he's the full package, mate. You know, and he's really sort of sort of cool to engage with in that.
I think a lot of artists underappreciate like how it is growing the personal brand. Like you could probably give a.
Well, for me, it's like, you know, when we're booking these DJs, a lot of the time it's like, oh yeah, we'll book that, we'll pay the fee, you come down. But a lot of them just don't necessarily say, it's like one story on the day, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to play at Summit events, and they don't do anything as towards the lead up or anything like that. And I think the DJs that do pay attention to their social media are the ones to pay attention to.
For sure, mate, for sure. Because it's one of them where it's like you're paying thousands of pounds to book certain DJs. Like, it's also like a respect thing. Like you feel a bit more like appreciated by the artists if they're actually sharing it and stuff. Whereas if for your case that's happening to you, you might just think, well, he's just coming for a paycheck, you know. Yeah. So it's like, but I can honestly say I've only ever had good experiences as well with DJs. Like I've had some great stories, you know, and some great artists. It's been incredible.
Every event, they're always so grateful that when they come down, but I think a lot of the time it can be, it's a bit of a smaller event. I'm going to share my post for when I'm at like Kaluki, I'm at Warehouse Project, this, that, and the other. But then when they come down, we've always never had one person say a bad thing. We've had DJs
had a great
that
time.
stayed for the afters. Literally, like the last one we did, come back to the afters till 7 a.m. Danby, unfortunately, he couldn't because he had fabric in the morning that got pulled on last minute. But he said, mate, if this wasn't on, I'd be there.
Yeah.
James View didn't. He stayed till the after party. Like they all always want to stay. And then every time they come down, they go, mate, I didn't know Lincoln partied.
Popped off like this, yeah.
That's what they always say that every single time. That's what they always say. They go, mate, I didn't realise Lincoln partied like this. Have you got some good after party stories with DJs?
Bro, we've had some mad after parties, you know, mate, over the times it was funny. Like I remember one time, and I'm not even going to mention the DJ because this DJ is such a big DJ now, you know, and he's a good friend of mine. And it's not even like it was a messy one, but we'd finished the show, and my business partner Eddie, he lives in Birmingham, you see. So we booked it. We had a hotel room for the night. About 20 of us went into this little double room, just all on the drink, had the music blaring and everything like that. And literally, my mate had gone home, like halfway through the event was on. And the after party was still going until we had to check out 11 o'clock the next day.
Extend.
So I rang up, I was like, excuse me, talking, you know, excuse me, please could we get a late checkout? And they were like, we know what you've been up to, get out now, blah-de-blah-de-blah. This DJ, mate, honestly, it was straight from the afters, straight to the airport, flew and played another show, mate, in a different country. I've come out, mate, absolutely, like, wasted out my head, just been drinking all night and all morning and everything like that. And my mate literally rang me. My mate had been to the event at the night, gone home, had a full night's sleep, and then come and pick me up from the after party the next morning and drop me off at home. It was absolutely mental, mate. Yeah. And even down to when we was doing the COVID ones, in it was just after lockdown and that, and we always used to have a friend who had a flat in town.
There's always that one.
But we'd be cramming like 70, 80 people into this flat, you know, just having a mad after party and everything like that. And I'd be that geezer, mate, who'd be there, like, when I've had a drink, mate, like, I love to just rabble on and talk to people. I'd be, like, sat there with another geezer, mate, who I don't even know. We'd be sharing life stories, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Man marking him in the corner.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, giving him I love you, mate, and all this and that. And I'd, like, go to bed, mate, and wake up the next morning. And, like, say he'd come to the next event, for example. He'd be like, bro, it was so good to see you the other night. And I was thinking, like, who is this geezer, mate? Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean, bro? I've been telling him how much I loved him, bro, all night. And then I wouldn't even recognise him, mate, because when you're doing the events, you see so many people, do you know what I mean? And you meet so many people, and it's like, especially being at the forefront of my brand, and obviously my handle being Reece Tasté, everyone sort of knows me by Reece Tasté. And like I said at the start of the pod, I'd never put my second name out there because it's just sort of the mystery to it. If you know my name, you know my name. If you don't, it's Reece Tasté, you know?
Yeah.
I'm at the events now, mate, and I'm having Mr. Taste. I'm turning round, and bro, do you know, because like I appreciate everyone so much, everyone that comes. I feel bad, mate, because I don't know that person's name, and I'm just like, hey, up, you all right? Do you know what I mean? Like, how you doing, mate? And it's crazy, mate. Literally, this last summer just gone, I was in the DC10 toilets, yeah. I'd just been to the toilet. I was just washing my hands. I'm in Ibiza. Reece Tasté out of nowhere. And I'm thinking, am I just drunk or like, do you know what I mean? Is something going on here? I've heard it again. And mate, these three geezers, Irish geezers, yeah, bearing in mind, I've never done an event in Ireland before. Oh, you run Taste, don't you? And do you know, like at points like that, like you just feel so grateful, mate. And you think like something that you've built, yeah, has actually reached that many people. It's like you can't believe it, mate, that so many people can know about it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I come from Nottingham, mate. I've lived here all my life. Do you know what I mean? I've grew up here. I've never moved out of here apart from doing the time in Ibiza and that a couple of years ago. And to think now that it's reached so many people and so many people are aware of it, people I don't even know, you know? Like it's mate, honestly, it's such a great feeling, mate.
It's almost like a multinational brand, isn't it? You're getting noticed like abroad as well.
Yeah, mate, it's crazy, and like I'll always be so grateful to every single person that's bought a ticket to any of the events over the 5 years, mate. If I could, mate, I'd thank everyone, you know, because without these people, mate, like yes, we've worked hard and we've worked through major problems and we've done this and that, but it's down to the people that come and that buy a ticket and that support you, you know. And I think them people work hard for the money, mate, you know. And like they get paid, and like when we release events on payday, like it's just a strategy that we use, you know, because it's when people have got the money. And to think that the first thing people are thinking about when they're getting paid, they're not thinking about doing the food shop or anything like that. We're in a position now where they're grabbing a ticket straight away for the next Taste show. And mate, it's an incredibly humble feeling, you know, and it just makes you feel so grateful, mate, to everyone.
It's obviously not overnight success on your part, though. It's a lot of hard work and stuff that goes in behind the scenes.
It is, mate. Like I say, we've been doing it 5 years. I'd say it's literally only been 2 years where I've started to feel like we're building something, you know, and we're getting somewhere. And this year, all I can say is what we've got coming is going to completely change the landscape. I think it's very easy when you've been going for a long time to get complacent. And I think if you do get complacent, that's when you're going to start losing your stripes.
People come flying past you.
Exactly.
Everything moves far too quick to not be moving forward. One thing, though, that we could touch back on, obviously, with the bookings, something that even we want to know, being bookers, as you say, when you're putting a booking through, and people on here might be thinking the same. Actually, I'll take it from the start. I bet there'll be people on here that are getting these emails through saying, "Oh, fill this in, fill this in, fill this in. Give me your fee, plus, plus, plus." It took us 3 events, and I think it might have been when I even messaged you to find out what plus, plus, plus is.
To learn the lingo.
So what?
Yeah,
break it down. Obviously, we now know what it is, but to people that'll be watching this, they might not have any idea. What is your plus, plus, plus? What's this? What's
how
that?
to even book an artist.
Yeah, how do you do it? What's your plan of action? If you're saying to someone who's now thinking, right, I've got my first few events out of the way, I've done the ones with my local DJs.
Want to try and get a bigger name now,
I'm going to put maybe $750, $1,000 into a DJ to try and bring more people in. How am I going at it? What's my plan of attack?
Yeah, so just for the first point, plus, plus, plus. So when an agent says that to you, so you'll provide a fee. Let's say the fee's £500, and then plus, plus, plus is everything else on top that you have to pay, which will be a hotel, it will be travel. Maybe that travel's a flight. It'll be ground transport. So say they've got a train into Nottingham, for example, then you've also got to cover their ground transport. Ground transport is from the train station to the hotel to the venue to the hotel back to the train station. So that if you're doing Ubers, that could be another 50, 60, 70 quid.
Yeah.
You've got a meal to provide for them. You've got their drinks rider to provide for them as well. So really, if your budget's 500 quid, that booking is going to cost you probably £800-900 because you've got all the added fees on top of it. What I've learned over the years and how I book artists for myself is that I always present a fully delivered offer. Because I've already got so much going on the night, I don't want to have to worry about sorting the hotel out, making sure they've checked into the hotel, making sure that they've got the taxi from the train station to the hotel. So with a fully delivered offer, I'll present a higher offer, but that will be included of all costs. The only thing that I pay on top of that is the drinks rider, which obviously is not included. You always provide that, and that's just part of the hospitality that you provide. I always want to look after any headline DJ. I've made amazing friends with some of the biggest DJs in the world, do you know what I mean? And we will always go above and beyond. But in terms of hotels and that, you provide that and the agent will sort all that out for them.
Yeah.
So they know the agent's done the hotel, and that sort of mitigates any problems as well. If you've booked the hotel, you've maybe given them the wrong postcode or something, you're at the event setting up and you've got an artist ringing you. That's not a great look for you at all.
Not at all.
You know, your artist is stranded in maybe a city they've never been to before, and they're like, from the get-go, that sets a bad sort of tone, you know?
Do you think the artist will prefer their manager to book it all as well, because then it's just all correct, not leaving it to the promoters?
Yeah, I'm not sure really. It's just what works for me and what I found the easiest way. Then I know I've presented that fee. I've got no other cost to worry about.
There's no quibbles.
Exactly. Train tickets can fluctuate in prices all the time. Hotels can fluctuate in price all the time. So at the point that you check, say you're booking 3 months in advance, the hotel might be 50 quid. But say then a month out, you're like, right, we're ready to book now. It might be 150 quid, you know?
Yeah.
So if you just provide that, for me, it sort of mitigates any of them troubles or worries for me.
And when you're putting it forward, then is there any sort of tips and tricks that you'd think, like when you're laying it out on your email, is there any additional things that you make sure that you mention? How would you greet them? Are you being a bit of polite, firmness? How do you make that? You basically want them to know that you're not a bit of a noob. That's what's
Yeah, but I would always be extremely polite because I'm a polite person anyway, and I like to make relations with everyone. Like a lot of these agents look after loads of artists.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, you want to build a solid relationship with that agent, so they want to work with you again on another one of their artists. You know, that's very important. But I would just say, just go to them with an overview brief of what you're trying to put on. Just giving the agent as much information as possible, so then they can sort of take the decision and talk to their artist and the artist management whether they want to take the show. And sort of what I'd always do as well is a tip. Don't offer your highest sort of what you can afford. You probably always want to go in a bit lower so you've got room to negotiate, because it's a negotiation at the end of the day. You've got a price in your mind, and obviously the agent's got a price in their mind of what they price their artists at. So always probably going a little bit lower than sort of what you're wanting to spend, and then you're giving yourself some room to then negotiate up to sort of the top end price point that you're comfortable with parting ways with.
Yeah. And then once you've got the booking, is there some sort of additional things that you maybe put in, like radius clauses, etc., etc.?
I never have put an exclusivity clause in with any artist, because it's not how I work. I'm not doing events to then harm other people, you know. Yeah. But an agent will know if I've got a show in Nottingham with Taste in May, I'm not going to book one in April or June, for example, because it makes the two shows, they're not going to work.
Yeah.
Obviously, the agent wants the best possible show for the artist, so they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But like with a show we've got coming up recently, there's sort of a big festival, you know, that are running around here as well, and them festivals, they put the exclusivity in. They're spending millions, you know, on production, on everything, artists and stuff like that. And I think when you get to that level, that's when you need to protect yourself a little bit more. But for our level, mate, I don't like to do that, because I would never want to put someone else at a disadvantage, you know. But
definitely,
I would hope with sort of the respect that the brand's got now, that people know if they see an artist on our show, they'll probably know, look, we're not going to book that artist for a while because you're doing your thing, and we wouldn't want to potentially harm what you're doing. So
to a promoter that maybe is in the same situation as you were, however, 6 or 7 years ago, they're wanting to start it up. What would you say? What's your path to glory to get to the situation you're in? What would you tell them to do?
Or the difference, let's say, between doing the smaller events like you mentioned at the start, where you've got between 50 and 100 people coming, to then the differences that you're having to implement to these 500,000 cap sort of shows.
Yeah, I would say the main things for me is consistency and attention to detail as well, you know. Remaining consistent. There's no good putting a party on, they're not doing another one for 6 months, because people are going to forget about it. How we started, we do a lot less shows now per year, because we'll touch on it towards the end of this, the plans that we've got coming up. But we would rather do quality over quantity now, where we're putting on 1,000 capacity shows, 1,500 cap, 2,000 cap shows less frequently, and putting more into that than doing 8-9 shows a year. But when we started, we used to do a show. We used to work on a 6-week basis, so we'd throw one out every 6 weeks, and that would build the brand up. So you've just been to one, you've had a sick time, You'd probably, the week after that, you'd probably get all your media out. So you'd have your videographer there, you'd put your after movie out, your clips, your photos. And then the week after, you'd lead straight into the next one, you know? And that level of consistency is what builds the brand, the name up. Oh, what are you going to taste at the week in a couple of weeks' time? Have you got your ticket for that?
I'd be worried about that though, just for the simple fact of like oversaturation of the events.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what worked for us, you know? I think now, obviously, it's a different market.
Were you switching it up every event, like different venues and sort of different styles
At the
of the
start,
event?
we was.
Yeah.
We was. But now we're working with a venue in Nottingham now that own a couple of different venues, and we've got an amazing relationship, and they have the biggest venue in the city. So we've sort of been just progressing up, do you know what I mean, through the ranks to get to the stage where we're looking to take on a show at Rock City, you know, which is the big goal for us this year in 2025 is we're looking to end the year with a big show at Rock City. You're talking 2,400 capacity. No one's ever done anything like it. No external promoters done anything like it in Nottingham before for house music. And the lineup will be bringing the production. It'll be next level, you know. But going back to the point of my advice, it would just be attention to detail. I'm a big person on artwork. If you went on the Taste Instagram and you looked at our artwork, you could take the Taste logo off and look at each artwork and you'd be able to tell it's produced by Taste and it's a Taste event. I think paying that attention to detail, and instead of investing loads of money into headliners and big DJs and stuff like that, build your brand from the ground upwards, you know, focus on them things that matter, the way it looks, the way it comes across, not just posting rubbish on your Instagram and TikTok, having sort of a brand look and brand image, I think is
An identity around it.
exactly, you know, when people then buy into that, if you've got an brand identity, people buy into it straight away.
Even if it's just your colour or your style, isn't it? People pick up on
That's it. There's loads of different ways. Like for us, we've got a set font, a set layout, the way it looks. We've got a centerpiece image that we've been working on for a few times that we switch out now. And if you take the logo out, you'd be able to tell it's a Taste event straight away. And that's extremely important to us to be able to maintain that, you know.
Are you doing all this in-house then, or are you outsourcing a lot of the work?
Artwork we outsource. We've got a terrific, should I say, graphic designer that works for us, producing at the highest quality, you know, videographers, photographers, we outsource everything. So in-house, like, we basically just put the event together. But even down to door ticket staff, we used to do everything like that, you know. I bought a camera, I used to take all the photos, but we're at a point now where we're making more money so we can invest more into that. And you'll probably see on our Instagram over the past year where we've really kicked into another gear, the quality all round has just completely gone up a level from us.
It gives you more time to think about the creative parts as well, doesn't it? More time to think about what's next rather than worrying about, oh, I need to get this post up, I need to make this, I need to think of that, I need to video this. You've got the time to manage it and create.
Now, what I would say as well, I'm not a very creative person, to be honest with you. I'm not the brains behind the creative of things, but I collaborate with people, videographers, photographers, graphic designers who are way more creative than me. And with that, with the sort of the small brief I give them, that's where the magic happens, you know. You've got to be open to listening to other ideas. You've got to be open to working with other people. And like I always say, Taste is it was my first business, and it will always be my baby. You know, it's the thing that I love more than anything. I'm the most passionate about. And you've got to be prepared at some points to let go of that, you know, and just sort of let other people sort of bring their ideas in. And when you do, that's where you'll see sort of the improvements come in.
So where is Taste going then? What's the plans for Taste?
Yeah, so obviously I don't know when this podcast will be out. By the time it might have already been announced, but we're doing for the bank holiday in May, the 4th of May, we're doing a big bank holiday indoor festival. So we're going to be working across 2 venues, stealth and rescue rooms. We're moving up to 1,200 capacity. We've got 8 headline DJs, Luke Van Dyke, Elliot Schooling, Liam Palmer, Marsolo, Robbie Doherty, Madigan, Lockie, Jay Wave, completely stacked from top to bottom. And that's the sort of gear we're going in now, the things we're putting in around it, the production, the dancers, just every little bit of detail that we can put into it to really sort of cement what we're doing. And like we touched on earlier, if you stay still and don't keep evolving what you're doing, there's going to be someone younger and hungrier who's going to come and just whiz past you. So when you are in the position that we are, every event is crucial. because you've got to level up all the time, you know, and people are also expecting more from you. So it brings a lot of pressure. And like we also touched on after that, we are looking to then move up to sort of a massive, massive show. And let's see if we can get it working, man.
So how many people are involved then?
Just two of us, mate.
Just two of you, and then you're outsourcing all the other little bits.
Yeah, it's always been that. We've obviously got the team of DJs around us and stuff like that, but it's just me and Eddie. It's always been the two of us. People think we've got a massive team. We've built the brand together from the ground up, you know, and that's why, like, we're just so sort of grateful for where we are now, because the hard work certainly has paid off.